The other day I was scrolling through socials and I ran into this video of a photographer called, I actually can't remember the name right now, but I'm gonna put it on screen. Okay, I thought it was pretty cool and I thought that could be a really cool video to make, right? Showing how to do that. Then at night I thought, well, I gotta build it. And then I just did it. This is the result. Okay, so I created this tool for you so that it's a lot easier to create this effect. Now this one only has 5 colors. If you do want to create it from scratch, just continue watching the whole video because I do show on the second part of this video how to create this whole thing from scratch. This effect from scratch. Now, how does this effect work? All you have to do is go to the generators and you'll find it here. There's going to be a logo right here, so don't worry about that. Okay, now that you have the effect, you drag it into your timeline right here, and we have that there. I did not add the movement animations on purpose because that way you have more control over it on your actual image right here that you put on the layer below it, right? Of your image or your video, whichever you use. So what you want to do here is go to the ending section here, let's say where the bubbles are right now, and that's how you're going to choose the color of your position. If you want to move the position, let's say this black bubble right here, you can use these right here, or you can go to the transform section right here and add the fusion overlay, and then you're going to be able to move these around by just selecting this little arrow or X point mark right here. There we have that there. Then click on your color and then pick screen color, and then you just go to that area and then click OK. That's how you would apply the different colors to the different bubbles that you have here. You can activate the motion blur right here, which is pretty straightforward. That means that when the bubbles are moving, there's gonna have motion blur right here, as you can see. If there is a motion blur, it's just gonna look like that. So it's up to you. You can choose whichever you want to use. Now, what is the one thing that makes it look a lot better is this drop shadow here that I added. Let me show you how it looks without it. Without it, it looks pretty, it blends too quickly, so it doesn't let the user or the viewer notice where the bubble went, right? So add a drop shadow that you can find here on the effects of the open effects section. Just find it as a drop shadow right here. Drop it on your generator, and then you're set. Adjust and modify the different elements right here. You're pretty ready to go. So yeah, that's a pretty straightforward effect. Now, if you do want to modify these, I actually saved these as a group. So you can go in here and modify these. If you do add more things here, you're not going to be able to adjust the controls on the edit page. Since I've only added 5 controls of the edit page, right? But if you do want to have more colors added to it, make sure to follow the tutorial that's coming right now on the part 2. Just a little quick interruption. I just wanted to let you know that the split screens toolkit has been pretty popular lately on our Swellview store. So if you want to check them out and get 66 split screens for your videos, make sure to check this out. But if you're not sure and you want to try them out, there's the first set which contains 11 split screens that you can download for free right here on the Swellview store. We're gonna be building the whole thing from scratch. So if you also want to know what the process of building something like this, an animation like this is, then you can have that knowledge too, so that you can later on not be limited by just this little tool that I built to help you create this animation. That way you can create your own animation style and then modify it like that. Now we're going to jump into the computer. Right, if you want to create these effects from scratch, what you're going to need is, first of all, a fusion composition. So let me just drag these real quick right here, and we're going to go into this fusion composition. Here, if you want to be able to see what your footage below is while you're in Fusion, what you have to do is, first of all, you can either create a background or just straight up a media in node right here. Here on this media in, we have to go here and go to the media source and then choose background or timeline. Sometimes either or should work. That will show whatever it's under it. Okay, we're gonna press 2. If it shows red for some reason, then it might be easier to just press background. That sometimes fixes it. All right, we have our image right here. The first thing you're gonna need is, first of all, a background node. Here we're gonna build the first part of our wheel, and then we're gonna add an ellipse right here, which is a circle. You can rename these whatever you want, actually, right? Just name these ellipse 1, and there we have that there. Then we're gonna add a multi-merge node. So if you're on DaVinci Resolve 18.5 at least, you should be able to use these. If not, just add a normal merge node and connect those like that either way. Now, one key thing here, if you add a merge node, is that you have to add another background here and make sure it's 0. And we're gonna use that background as our background coming into the multi-merge node. That way, all the layers of the bubbles here or of these parts of our circle show up here. Otherwise, the first one that you have is not gonna show up there and it's just gonna show up as a background. Okay, we are right here, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the solid out and we're gonna increase the border width to size that you want. Maybe that's right there, it's fine. Then, depending on how many colors you're gonna use, let's say we're gonna do 5 again. If you do more than 5, all you have to do is here put the whatever number you choose, you're gonna do 1 divided by that number. If it's 5, we're gonna do 1 divided by 5, and then that's gonna be 0.2. We're gonna cut these right here, so change the cap style so that it's flat, and then we can make these a little bit smaller like that so that it reaches the inside border of our circle, reaches right the middle section right here. And you can also, to make it easier, just go to the expression section right here and then connect that to the width. That way you can just adjust it manually like that on the inspector tab if you don't want to use this area right here. Okay, now an important thing is here is that you can see that we have the position right here moving, and it goes always towards the left side for some reason. So in order to fix this, what you can do is actually just play around with the angle right here, and we're gonna set this up right there so that it's right at the center in that area. That way we have a little bit more accurate. It's just a matter of personal preference, right? Okay, now if you look at bench style, you can actually have a flicker on the intro section. What I did for the template is I actually have that flicker happening right here, and I use a shake animation. So we're gonna modify these with a shake. We're gonna go to the modifier section here, and we're gonna create a keyframe here for both of them being at 1. That means that the shake is just gonna be 1, so it's not gonna shake anymore. So right at 14, it's gonna be 1 like that. There it goes. And create the ending keyframe right there at 16. And then here we're gonna bring this back to 0. That means that it's gonna flicker up until that point, and then at 16 it's gonna stop. Here we're gonna decrease the smoothness, and then you can reseed these so that each of them is different. And we have that deflicker, or that flicker actually happening there. There we have that there. Now the image is disappearing now because we're not going all the way around, so we're just going to increase that there. Right click, open in Fusion, we are back here. Now what's the next step? The next step is to create that animation of the bubbles. In the template that I made is a little bit different. Sometimes people just make them and these becomes completely small, so like it just goes back to 0. In this case, we cannot really do that unless we use a transform node. What I did in our case was I made a second mask here of an ellipse that then is used as a multiplier that then becomes just smaller. Whoops, not there. That becomes small, and then it stays on that section right there, for example. And then we have those bubbles that then go to whatever the color of the section is, right? Okay, we're not gonna do that this time because why not, right? If you don't want to do it this way, what you have to do is go erase that. We're gonna add a transform node to our background here, and let's say we want these to become smaller and have the bubbles show up starting at frame 44. So all we have to do is go and add a keyframe to the size and then make these smaller at 54, let's say. That's gonna make it disappear, right? At the same time, we want to have a bubble that shows up at that moment, right? So for that to work, we're gonna have to create an instance of this background. So Control C and then Control Shift V, that's gonna create an instance. Then you can just go right here and create a merge node for these. And then on this one, we're gonna create a little bubble that's gonna show up. It's gonna appear. So we're gonna click on the expression again, connect that there, and we're gonna make these really small like that. That way, then we can just create a transform for this one here, which will be the bubble movement. call it that. And this one is not going to show up until this one disappears. So we're going to go 44. I'm going to create a keyframe for this one right here. And then at 54, this one's going to be here again. And then we're going to get rid of this one right here. Look at that. Then they both show up at the same time. Here you can go to the transform to both of them and then press on the spline section F and then use the ease in and ease out options. Whoop, and then you have that little sweet animation happening. Now, one important thing that you want to do is create a motion blur control right now. That way you don't have to do this later. So we're going to create a transform node right here. We're going to rename these motion blur. That means that anything that's going to have any motion, we want to connect these to these motion blur. That way we don't have to worry about it later on and have to change things manually for all of them. So what we're going to do is going to go to the transform one, go open the motion blur, right click and create an expression for each of those right here. And we're going to press these, which basically just connect it like that. And you can just copy and paste that there. It's gonna break for a little bit. That. But then here we're gonna change the second part to shutter angle. So there, center bias, sample spread, and then the last one, motion blur. That means that whenever we activate this one, it's gonna activate, and then the same thing is gonna happen for the other one. I should have done these right before I created this bubble one so that I don't have to copy and paste that same thing again. But what we can do here is actually just Control C on this transform node, go into this one, go to settings and then open these, right click, paste settings. Then do that and paste settings. There it goes. And now when we activate these, deactivate these, all of them are going to deactivate too. Now we are set on that end. Okay, we have that bubble happening. Then the next part, the next thing that we want to do is actually add a path to the animation of the center right here. For that, we're going to right click and then go to path, or you can also animate, and that's going to create a modifier usually, but whichever option you choose should work. If you don't have a path right away, you can see right here, you can grab this pen right here and then draw the path. It's going to have the first point and the second point. Now we're going to go to the modifier and we're going to get rid of this keyframe right here. Double click on the displacement and then we're going to click one time. Then we're going to go, let's say so it starts at 63. We're going to end at 74. Bring these to 1. Now we have that movement happening right there. This is actually optional, or I mean, it's really up to you how long you want it to be. You're gonna be able to modify these later on like that. Okay, now that we have that they're ready, what is the next step? Usually the bubbles disappear, so what you can do here is after it reaches a point, go to 82, let's say, and you can either use the transform node right here and animate the path like right there, and that will actually be easier because if we use the ellipse, we're gonna have to connect the motion blur of the ellipse again to the motion blur right here. So let's create all the animations in here. After it reaches there at 74, we're gonna wait like maybe half a second. This is a 24 FPS timeline. It's gonna be 12 frames. We're gonna click there and then at 96, let's say, bring these back to 0, and we can go and adjust the spline tool here again, and then press T so that adjusting the easy in and easy out options. There we have that. Now if you create these from scratch, if you want to modify the ending path, you're gonna have to be in Fusion, and all you have to do is make sure to grab that second point right there and then move it around. Now make sure you're here on this frame where the animation reaches a final point, and that way you can move it more easily. But if you don't want to wait, just make sure to click here this little point, which is insert and modify. That way, if you're not on there, it doesn't create a new keyframe. Sometimes if you move it around with another of these selected, it creates it creates another keyframe, and that will mess up your animation, right? So we have that there, and I think all of those things are pretty much ready to go. After you have these, all you have to do is create these, make a copy. We're gonna connect these to our multi-merge node. Since we have 5, we're gonna go here to the ellipse and then add 0.2 on the position. That's gonna bring these to the left. And then we can go and change the color of this one to whichever color you want. Let's say blue. Actually, in your actual image, if you see the ending point, all you have to do is click the picker and then select whatever that second color is gonna be, and then you choose that one, right? So just copy and paste these 5 times, connect them to the multi-merge, and we're gonna go to the ellipse and add plus 0.2 in this case again, and then we're gonna change the color just so that we have a different one right here quickly. So this one's gonna be 0.6, color is gonna be another color, and this one is gonna be 0.8, and that's gonna fill up our ellipse or our circle area. Now just make sure that if you add more, what you have to do is go to the length 1 divided by the length, and then the position will be basically the same number, right? Because then it will be just 1 divided by the amount of colors that you have here, so that you can figure out the position. Now unfortunately it all goes sort of towards the left side, right? And we have the animation here, all of them stopping at the same time. What you want to do here is actually go to the different ellipses, and then you can actually rename these so that you know. Let's rename these B1, B2, B3, B4, and after now just keep B5. Okay, we have that so that we are able to easily see them later on. Okay, now we're gonna go here and open the spline. You can use a keyframe here too, but I like to use this spline better, because on the keyframe you always have to go and choose selected only, and for some reason I don't like moving them around here that much, because it just, I don't know, it always gets messed up for some reason. Okay, we're gonna fit all of these in place, and we're gonna have to move all of them a little bit so that it has a little bit of a delay, right? So we're gonna move these 2 keyframes, hold shift while you click, whoop, and then we're gonna start at 16. After that, we're gonna find B2, and we're gonna deactivate these and do the same process for all of the other 2, for all of the other colors. That way we have sort of like a little bit of a difference, a delay in the stopping of each of those, right? Okay, now what you want to do here to make them all different actually is go to the modifier and then press reseed on each of those, like that. Now each of them is going to have a little bit of a different flicker effect on them. Okay, now that we have that, the next step is to actually add a transform node to our multi-merge. But there's another step that we have to do. We're gonna copy these first ellipse that we have here, and we're gonna paste it right there. We're gonna call these mask reveal. Here we're gonna get rid of everything, basically, well, mostly just the animation that we have here for the flickering. And we're gonna go and connect these to the multi-merge. That's gonna apply these masks to everything. What that does is that we're gonna be able to move these around and reveal the different points as we have them here. So we're gonna go and add a transform node. Let's say we want these to be on screen at 24, like completely full up, and we're gonna actually make these 1.1. Then we're gonna go to, let's say, 32. We're gonna bring this back to 1, and then right here we're gonna bring these to 0. Now we're gonna have a linear animation of it showing up like that. There, we're gonna select these on the spline tool right here, press F, and we have them like that. So it shows up, and then we have that there. Then we're gonna go to the animation of the angle. We're gonna create a keyframe right here, and then bring these to, like, let's say 90. Like that. It's a little bit too slow, maybe double it. Then we have that there. Please select the size right here, and then we're gonna adjust the spline curves for the angle. There we have that animation of our wheel right here. If you want these to go to the opposite direction, all you have to do is click here, flip, and then that opens up like that. Now, one thing I forgot to mention right here is that right after we have a reveal here, since we have these masks, the bubbles, when they go to position, they actually disappear, right? You can see they disappear right here. So to fix that, we have to make sure to go to the multi-merge node, and let's say here at 32, which is when that ends, we're gonna set the multi-merge node to go from the mask settings to apply mask inverted, right? So we're gonna create a keyframe right here, and then go 1 frame forward, and then click these and activate these. That's gonna make the mask disappear, but don't worry, we're gonna go here to this mask, and then on this mask reveal, what we're gonna do is, and we're gonna invert these with a keyframe right there. And now we're basically gonna get rid of that mask, and our points should be able to go anywhere on our screen. Now, if it still disappears, make sure to go to the level right here, and we're gonna add a keyframe there in that section too. And that's gonna fix that problem that we have here, and our bubbles should show up anywhere on our screen wherever we direct them to, right? So here, bubble movement, move these to here, make sure to have these little pen right here, and move these whatever the position of the other one is. Right here, say right here, and then this one's right here. Oh, not that. Then right here. Okay, so now we have our bubble movement all happening in that same place right there. Okay, now that we have that ready, you are pretty much set. All you have to do now in your actual edit page would be to make the edits on the actual image right here, right? So let's say we want the circles disappear right here, so we're gonna go a little bit like that, find that right before the bubbles go into position. And then you're gonna, let's say we're gonna go to our first one. We're gonna go to the color page. And with that clip selected, make sure it's on the first layer right here. P2 is our fusion composition. On the first layer, we can decrease the saturation of our image. And then we're gonna press Ctrl T on the second one. And then just adjust these like that, so that if we go a few frames forward, the other color shows up when the bubbles disappear completely into them, right? So we're gonna go to the ease in and ease out section here. And that way, whoop, we have the color reveals. And then what you wanna do is just save these as a preset on your master bin or your power bins right here, and then you can reuse it. In this case, if you create it from scratch and add more colors, you have to save it like that, and then go back to Fusion, and then modify each color here by just finding, let's say that's the first one right here. We're gonna select this area of colors. And then for the second one, which is that one, we're gonna select that area of colors. For this third one, we're gonna select that area of colors. And then when the image reveals itself, there it goes. Now it's important to have your color grade ready before you actually implement these, right? Otherwise, if you change the color later on, then it will be just off, right? Okay, so yeah, that is how you create these wheel effect from scratch. So if you want to add more colors, just do that. And that's good. That to download these, all you have to do is go to the Suave website and then find these on the freebies section. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can do so, or if you want to grab some of the other paid packs, you can do that too. So make sure to let me know how it went, if you downloaded it, and how you used it down in the comments on this video. I hope that you find it useful, that you are able to use it on your projects to showcase your grades or your edits. And if you find it helpful, make sure to let me know down in the comments, and also like this video, right? Because that's how it reaches more people. And watch the whole video too. That way it's gonna reach even more people. That is it for this video. I hope I'll see you in the next one here in Suave. Bye.